Welcome to Sideline Reporters, a full 30 minutes where myself and the guys get to talk all about sports. I'm your host, Bobbie Bullock. Alongside me is Caleb, Sauceman, AJZ, and of course, Thomas. Guys, how are we doing today?
Awesome.
Pretty good. How about you, Bobbie?
Pretty good. I'm feeling good. It's Friday. Always a good day. Now, guys, we only got 30 minutes to talk here about some sports. We're going to jump right into it about the Minnesota Vikings. 3 weeks in a row now, the Minnesota Vikings have beat three of the best quarterbacks in the league. Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning. Guys, that is saying something how good this defense is this year.
Yeah, I think the defense is really shutting down the opposing quarterbacks. I think the big thing is our linebackers. Our linebackers are playing outstanding. And not only they're playing outstanding, but our DBs are playing great too. We just got Xavier Rhodes back. We have Harrison Smith and Sendejo in the way backfield. I think those two complement each other really well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
They're playing so much nickel defense, and like you said with the linebackers, Kendricks and Barr have been outstanding, and Captain Munnerlyn in the slot almost every snap he's played very, very well.
Now, I got to talk about, you brought up Xavier Rhodes right away. This defense isn't just frustrating these quarterbacks. Can we please talk about Xavier Rhodes with Beckham Jr., making him frustrated? I think he was so frustrated he had that big comment that, was posted all over media. What was that matchup like, AJ?
It was just a lot of pestering all night. But the thing about Odell Beckham Jr. is it's so easy to get in his head. You saw it the week before when they played Washington. Josh Norman was in his head all day. And despite, he got a couple big gains here and there, a couple big catches every now and again, they still lost the game. So in the end, Norman won the battle.
And that's my question. This Beckham Jr., he gets a ton of media attention all the time. Xavier Rhodes held him to 38 yards. Is he really that great of a player?
Oh, yeah, he's phenomenal. The guy's got so much talent, it's unreal, but he has to keep his composure to show off how good he can actually be. And that's what you saw with Rhodes. He just got a little frustrated, and Richard Sherman, I saw this quote from the other day, you either get in his head and kind of pester him and he gets frustrated and you see a guy who only gets 38 yards in a game. Or you see a guy who will go off for about 200 yards because he'll burn that guy. Odell Beckham Jr., it's 50-50 with him. It's a toss-up every single time. But until he is able to control his actions, I mean, he's a young guy still. He's only a few years older than us. He needs to learn how to control his emotions, and then he just has to take that and put it on the football field, and he'll be so much better.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. It's still early in his career, as weird as that sounds. I know he's been around for a while, a couple of years, I think. But I think he'll be all right. He's got a lot of learning left to do, but he's in good hands. He's got Eli Manning as his quarterback. Rumors of Tom Coughlin coming back just to help him settle down, help him settle into things. But he's also in a huge market in New York City. I mean, everything he does, people know about it because he's in one of the biggest markets in the world. But I think he'll be all right. He's only 23 years old. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. Of course, we know we're around his age. You're gonna have those days. But where does this go from here? Where does this team, take his comments? Because everyone talks about him. He's a guy who loves the media. He gets in the media all the time. Where does this team go from those comments?
Odell Beckham, here's the thing. He's a talented player. He's shown he's a talented player with the catches he's made and the way he's played. But when you are this talented, you're going to get this media, and you have to live with it. That's your lifestyle right now, and he has to be able to deal with that if he's going to be this great of player. And they have a lot of talent. They have Shepard, they have Cruz, they have Beckham, and they have Eli Manning. This team's going to be okay. Beckham, he hasn't got a touchdown this year. He's only had 2 years, and he struggled. And this is the first time where he really has. Now he's had some behavioral issues, but this is the first time really he hasn't performed at all. No touchdowns this year. I mean, who would have predicted that?
Right.
So I think he's got to just keep working, and I think he will settle down, and he'll be fine. And I think as he continues to play the year and get some confidence, he'll be okay. But he's going to be scrutinized because he's a great player, and great players are scrutinized for everything they do.
Well, we got to give it to you for Xavier for holding him to 38 yards. That's pretty impressive. Looking at Xavier Rhodes, coming into this weekend, how does Xavier Rhodes match up against Hopkins?
It's going to be a tough battle. What I think the matchup against Odell Beckham Jr. did, though, for Rhodes' career is bring him more into the spotlight. Mm-hmm. Before coming into the week and even into the season, I don't think if anybody says who has the best cornerbacks in the league, Vikings are not on the top, even maybe 10 list. Yeah, well, Caleb, you look like you got something to say.
Well, and I agree. I think the Vikings, I think they are a little underrated cornerback-wise, but here's what you have to listen. This we have to take into account. Part of the reason that makes Xavier Rhodes so good is that defensive line, those linebackers, and Harrison Smith. When you have that help around you, you can have the freedom to, make more plays on the ball. You have that trust. I think the Vikings have good cornerbacks, but with Zimmer and that defense, it just brings them all together. And that's, I think, what makes them so good.
Now the Vikings, you guys, they're coming in to this next game against Houston. They're 3-1. We're 4-0. We talked about the good defense. We talked about Xavier Rhodes. Another thing to look at is Houston has a new quarterback. They have a quarterback signed for $72 million a year. Was it 6'8" big guy? What is this guy about? I know he's only had 11 starts. What does he bring to the table this weekend?
What I love about the Brockweiler is that he was a guy who didn't get drafted and immediately start. He sat under a future Hall of Famer, Peyton Manning, and then he finally performs, shows that he's got what it takes. He took down the Patriots last year. I'm pretty sure I think it was at Foxborough.
Yeah.
He goes ahead, signs this big deal, because I think he is a franchise quarterback, and besides the one game against the Patriots this year, when they got just picked apart, he's been showing a lot of talent. Brock Osweiler, though, if he can come into the game strong, start the tempo and where he wants it to be, I think Houston's gonna run around this Vikings team. Honestly,
yeah. Well,
I think it was a mishap against the Patriots. They just got off to the wrong start, especially at Gillette. I mean, it's a tough environment there in Foxborough, but Houston is, even without J.J. Watt on defense, it's gonna be a tough battle for both teams, honestly.
Well, what Zimmer said coming into this game, he says he loves these kind of matchups with new quarterbacks. He loves to confuse these new guys, really get into the rookie type quarterbacks' heads, because that's when they throw their most interceptions, when they're not confident. And that's one thing I know the defense, or Vikings defense, really tries to attack. And he has six interceptions, I think Denver's quarterback has, and it's all forces to Hopkins. So we're back on that Hopkins, Xavier Rhodes, topic. Thomas, what do you see in that matchup that the Vikings can really capitalize on?
Well, what the Vikings defense does is they create so much pressure. Like, they didn't sack Eli Manning, but he was always throwing off of his back foot. Mike Zimmer's going to come with the double-A gap blitzes, and with those packages, you can see so many different combinations of players coming at you. And with Osweiler still, it's only his first year with Houston. He's still kind of getting acclimated to how his offensive line plays, how his receivers play. I think that he might get sacked about 5-6 times.
Now, I'm upset a little bit that Dante is not in the room today, because I really brought this up and highlighted it on purpose, that Sam Bradford hasn't thrown, I'm almost positive, an interception yet this year.
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't lost yet for the Vikings yet. I hope he is listening to this radio. So where are we going with Sam Bradford? Is he really as bad as we thought he was going to be?
Let me say this.
Let's hear it.
I think he's proving the doubters wrong about the trade.
I think so.
You're still going to have people who are hating on the value of which the Vikings gave up for him. Mm-hmm. But that being said, the Mike Zimmer and Doug Peterson late-night phone call before the season has resulted in a 7-0 collective record. That's pretty impressive. But when you look at Sam Bradford, I don't think he has really been put in a position where he has to come back from a large deficit. He's been doing a pretty good job of game managing, as much as I hate to say it.
My question is this then. Okay, say the Vikings go all the way, they win the Super Bowl. Who are they playing next year? Is it Teddy Bridgewater, or are we going with someone who just won the Super Bowl?
Well, it's tough there, because
if
they do end up winning the Super Bowl, that conditional 4th-round pick ends up actually turning into a 2nd-round pick in favor of Philadelphia. But it's rumored that Teddy's career might even be done. That's still some of the big things hanging in the air about his injury, because he might be coming back, he might not be. That's something that we're gonna have to wait and see. I personally don't think we can make a decision on that right now.
Yeah, I think the big problem here is Minnesota loves Teddy.
Oh yeah, I think Zimmer
Teddy
loves him too.
Yeah, Teddy Two Gloves. Minnesota loves Teddy, but the problem is here, it was tragic. He went down. What happened to him? Even like in his lifestyle, like that's a terrible injury for anything. And when we brought Sam Bradford in, everyone's like, I don't know how this goes. Well, now Minnesota loves Sam Bradford.
Right.
So now when they come back together next year, we're gonna be like, all right, we love Sam Bradford because he did well for us, hopefully.
Minnesota loves to win. I think that's kind of the theme we're going with.
But even we took Teddy Bridgewater like under our wing. We're like, we'll develop you. We're really like his rookie year he played, and we're all for him. We really want Teddy Bridgewater in here, and we've really seen him grow. And I think that's gonna be the big problem for Minnesota fans and people in the organization, to have that big quarterback battle next year, because Sam Bradford maybe has saved a season, and Teddy Bridgewater has grown up through us.
I want to tap the brakes quick on a Vikings Super Bowl win. It has been 4 games for Sam Bradford. It has
I
been
have high
3.
hopes.
And
Minnesota girl.
it's been 4 games.
3 actually, because Sean Hill started that first one.
3 games for Sam Bradford.
Without an interception. Yep, keep going.
Well, yeah, he hasn't. What AJ said, he's not had to do too much to throw a pick. He has played well. He's played well enough to obviously win the games he's played. He's played 3 games. The NFL is a long season, and I want to see how Bradford continues to play before we start to get into a quarterback controversy with Bridgewater. I think it's still a ways away.
All right, I'll give you that, Caleb.
Bradford,
I'll give you that.
he's played well thus far. They got Green Bay again. They got still division opponents. They got tough teams coming up. And they still got some injuries. It's a long 4 games. I mean, if you define 4 games, I mean, look, Philly's undefeated. I mean, some of these teams. So I want to see how the year continues to go, but the quarterback controversy with Bridgewater, that'll be an interesting argument. We'll see when that
happens.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about Philadelphia. I want to talk about Carson Wentz. First of all, NDSU guy, 4-0 as a rookie. Wow. I mean, NDSU, a great Division I program, but they don't play, the big Florida teams. They don't play Alabama. Have any of you guys got the opportunity to go see this kid play when he was up at NDSU?
Yeah, I watched him play against South Dakota State, I think 2 years ago, maybe, the big Dakota rivalry there. And I was at the game, and I just remember how composed he was in the pocket and how like under control. Nothing was too big for him. He never got really too stressed out. Well, his team was way better than South Dakota State at the time, but still, he was just super composed in the pocket, and nothing on the team, no situation really stressed him out. And even if it did, he didn't show it, which I think was huge, especially for someone coming from a Division I AA team to the pros. Like, that's a huge step.
Huge.
That's massive. And the thing is he's just kept it simple. He's not letting all the big hype, and you play for the Eagles, you're in the NFL, you're starting as a rookie. He's not letting that get to him, I don't think. And I think that's why he's so successful.
I think my question to go on from this is, does this kid have the, ability to be the next Tom Brady, the next Peyton Manning? Where is this guy and his abilities?
I'm going to return back to what Caleb said about it's only 4 games in the season, 3 for them since they just are coming off a bye week. He's showing spurts of greatness, but I'm really glad that the Philadelphia media is really keeping it under control. I saw a tweet from one of their beat writers for their Star Tribune. He said that Wentz is Aaron Rodgers pre-snap and Peyton Manning post-snap. That is the worst comparison I've heard all month.
AJZ with the quotes. I love it.
That's unbelievable.
I will say, though, I have watched a couple of Wentz's games, and I just said it's only been a couple of games, but he has impressed, I think, mightily and exceeded my expectations. I didn't even think he was going to play this year. I mean, I thought he was going to sit the whole year. He's had great coaching with Doug Peterson, a former coach, his quarterback's coach, another former NFL quarterback. And he just last week beat a Pittsburgh team that, was one of my Super Bowl picks. So it has only been a few games, but thus far he has impressed mightily. Again, you obviously have to see. I think I brought up a comparison. I know the other week I was talking to AJ about people are talking about RG3 after his great rookie season, and now, look at him now. So it's only been a couple of games, but I think expectation-wise, you're taking number 2. Not a lot of people expect you to play, and you go out and you lead your team to undefeated season thus far. And I really, I know they play the Vikes coming up in a couple weeks, and that'll be a good game to see as well.
Now, when I say expectations, I got to say this. When we're talking about a Sam Bradford, Aaron Rodgers, yeah, they've been there. Now we're talking about a kid who was just a couple months ago playing for NDSU. I mean, their big rival was South Dakota State? I mean, you got to give this kid some props. Going into the NFL, the best players in the country, so I want to, though, talk about, I know Thomas wants to talk about this, as the best time in October is what? Baseball. The best time. Baseball. I know Thomas has a lot to say about the baseball coming up, so we're going to leave the Vikings topic. We're going to move on to baseball and talking about what San Francisco beating the Giants.
No, San
Francisco
beat the Mets.
Beat the Mets. Yes. What did we see having that Baumgartner have all 9 innings?
Well, we saw Madison Bumgarner do what Madison Bumgarner does in the playoffs on the road. He has a .5 ERA in all of his playoff road starts. You can't touch him when he is pitching on the road. I'd argue that he is right now the most clutch pitcher in baseball. I mean, he went out and he blanked the Mets over 9 innings. And then, of course, you have to give credit a little bit to Gillespie, too, for the Giants, coming in, hitting the 3-run home run off of Familia. which I think it sparks another debate that we're probably going to have regarding putting in a closer in a non-save situation with Familia and the Mets.
AJ, you're shaking your head like you
No,
got something
I
good
couldn't
to say
believe
here.
Connor Gillespie. Are you kidding me? There's so much offensive power on that Mets team. I didn't see them losing that game anyway, but then Bumgarner comes out, throws the whole complete game shut piece.
Well,
I mean, he's unreal. And I'm a little scared, but I'm really looking forward to the matchup we have coming up in Game 3 when they take on the Cubs. It'll be Arrieta on the road. I'm going to assume it's going to be against Bumgarner at home.
Yeah, I'm sure the Bumgarner will get that start.
Yeah.
And I know you guys want to talk about the Cubs. We got 2 guys wearing some Cubs jerseys in here. I'm on that bandwagon. I'm a huge fan of Chris Bryant's. I don't know if we've talked about that earlier. I know we have. But, guys, Cubs, biggest, I think it's the best team in baseball right now. Haven't won the World Series in what? Since 1908. 08. So, where are we going with the Cubs team? Are they going to do it all or what?
I'll let Caleb start it off, and I'll pick up
All
what he
right,
leaves.
Caleb.
all right. Yes, it's been a while. Well documented. The Cubs have
Over
not.
100 years there.
Yes, it's been a while. Here's what I like about the Cubs team this year.
All right, let's hear it.
First of all, anytime you have the reigning Cy Young Award pitcher pitching in Game 3, you know you got a pretty good rotation. They got John Lester starting, Kyle Hendricks, who could win the Cy Young this year, and then Jake Arrieta third. And then you got a great veteran in John Lackey starting fourth. So I love that rotation. They have deep pitching, and offensively, the Bryant-Rizzo connection's been great all year. Zobrist is looking fresh. I mean, they signed Hayward. Great defensively. He's struggled a little bit hitting the ball. But I think, they're a young team. But you watch this Cubs team, they have fun. I mean, and Joe Madden does a great job of managing this club. And he's got the guys believing. This is still a very young team. But he's got them believing. He's got them, thinking we can do it this year. And I think Wrigley's going to be hopping tonight. I'm really excited to see how that game goes.
Yeah, they're stacked. They got a lot of guys.
Like Caleb was talking about here with Joe Madden, when he came in last year, he came to a team that wasn't really used to winning. After every single win last year and coming through this season too, he would bring out a disco ball, all these lights, and they would pretty much have a party in the locker room after games, whether it was, a blowout win or they just kind of squeaked by. These are guys who work hard for every single win. And then, like he was talking about, just the depth on this team. You got Bryant, Rizzo, even guys, Jason Hayward. He got maybe give him a tennis racket and he'll be all right. But Dexter Fowler, he's been coming in huge. Guys like Ben Zobrist, who's a switch hitter, he's been playing phenomenal. And then the pitching is unbelievable, and especially after acquiring Chapman at the trade deadline. They're just
say that.
so deep. It's unbelievable. I don't see them losing, honestly, but I'm going to have to knock on wood for
I was
the
going
rest
to
of
say,
the
a
week.
big Cubs fan over there. Let's start knocking on some wood. We got a long ways to go. They play tonight, correct?
Yeah, they played tonight.
Okay, so what do they have to do well this first game to show this team they got this?
I think they got to do essentially what the Blue Jays did yesterday to the Rangers. Just rake the ball. You have to be hitting the ball very well. The pitching, I think, is going to be there with John Lester starting on the mound tonight.
Okay.
But it's going to be all about cracking the code of the Giants bullpen.
Cueto.
Yeah, Johnny Cueto.
Who's a good pitcher himself, and that's why I think it's going to be a really good pitching duel, personally. But I think there's been a lot of, even MVP discussion with Bryant. Can these guys come through in the biggest, young careers for a lot of these guys? But this is a huge moment for the Cubs, and they have a lot of expectations. And, last year they squeaked into the playoffs as kind of that surprise team. Even, they beat the Cardinals. They won a series, and it was cool to see. But this year, expectations are here. They are now, and this is a Cubs team that's expected to compete and win the World Series. So this is the road begins tonight for them.
I would say that I think all eyes are on this Cub teams. I think it's cool to see, anyone who doesn't even watch baseball, you can tell from these guys' Instagram pages, Facebook, they have so much fun with the game. And I think it makes me want to watch it more because they're always just happy to be there, no matter what the circumstances. Obviously, they're gonna lose. If they lose, they're not gonna be as happy. But they're a fun team to watch, and they seem like they have awesome chemistry. But one thing I got to bring up is the Zach Britton thing. He's the best pitcher since April.
Best reliever since I think he's the best reliever all year.
All right, his coach doesn't play him.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? Where was that?
I'll let you start it.
All right, so
Oh my God.
Buck Showalter is looking at, I believe it was the 11th inning, 10th inning, where he
11th.
brought in Jimenez.
Yeah.
He brings in Ubaldo Jimenez in the bottom of the 11th to face the Toronto Blue Jays offense in a must-win wild card game.
Hey, we're not talking about like the bottom of the order. We're talking
No.
about the 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters is what he brought Jimenez
Yeah.
in against.
And you have to win.
Yeah,
And that's guys like Josh Donaldson, Jose Batista, Edwin Encarnacion, Troy Tulowitzki. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That should be illegal.
And you have Zach Britton sitting there completely ready, not hurt whatsoever in your bullpen. And you say, no, you know what? I think Jimenez gives us a good chance to win here.
The biggest crime about that is that he had him get up and start warming up 2 times prior to that. For the 3rd time, he finally brings him up, and then he sits him again. And then it was the saddest thing ever, showing the camera angle where it's in the bullpen. You see Jimenez warming up, throwing pitches, and then just kind of right behind him, leaning against the wall with like the smuggest look on his face, is Britton just there. And then, I mean, the only thing I could think of watching the game was he has to be hurt. There's got to be something with his shoulder that they might want to just in case they can pull out of this one. But after the game, nope, he's totally fine. You know, it's just unbelievable. I don't understand how the skipper keeps his job after that.
That's my
big
question.
Of a
How
mistake.
does this guy keep his job, and what was the statement he released after he made that decision?
Well, you know, with his statement, he was basically saying that he felt that Ubaldo Jimenez was their best pitcher. I think he pitched twice in September, so that's, you know, kind of wrong.
That's saying something right there.
Yeah, it's kind of the old school baseball mentality where you only bring your closer in for a save situation. I am not a fan of that whatsoever. I like the relief ace mantra, where if you're in a must-win game, you're in that situation, you bring in your best reliever, and in that case it was Britton. They went with their 5th starting pitcher.
Right. Well, whatever, that was obviously a mistake, but I don't want to end this topic without talking a little bit about the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, it wasn't the best year for them. We all know that, but
Might have been the worst year for them.
It actually was. It statistically was. They've never had that many losses in a season since the franchise came to Minnesota in 1961.
But they do have someone coming back, a new person adding to the new president of baseball, Eric Falvey.
Derek Falvey.
What is this guy going to bring? What is he going to bring that what we won't have to see the Twins ever have a season like this again?
He knows his stuff about pitching.
Okay.
The guy knows his pitching really well, and that's going to be probably the biggest thing that the Twins haven't had, even back in like 2009 when they made a playoff run and then squeaked in.
So you're saying that we have a chance?
It's going to be rebuilding for sure.
Okay.
He oversaw the development of that Cleveland rotation where they have Carrasco, Kluber, Salazar, just so many good Trevor Bauer too. So when you bring in Falvey, what he's going to do is he knows his pitching, like AJ said. And what has the Twins' biggest crutch been over the last, I don't know, since the World Series in 91?
What's it been?
Or since Santana, but outside of Santana, they haven't had any pitching. So now you have a guy.
What are you talking about? They have Edwin Santana now, or what is it? What's his name?
Irvin Santana.
Irvin Santana.
Well, whatever they have, they didn't have
that's
much,
how much I know
because
they're
that
ace.
record
Yeah.
can tell you for the Twins. I know Minnesota's such a big, Twins fans. Tons of people go to the Twins, so I'm hoping this guy can at least bring some pitchers in, because heck, we could use any pitchers
He needs to
we can
provide a spark. He needs
Oh, yeah.
He needs something for the Twins fans to be like, oh, like, okay, like
Yeah.
we might be back in the conversation. We're not looking for. The Twins fans aren't looking for a World Series within the next 2-3 years, because that's just not.
Well,
that's just not in the question.
we're
We're
looking for a
we're looking for the Twins to get back. To get back in the question, or to get back in the conversation.
Maybe in the winning column.
Yes,
I think the
for once.
problem with the Twins as well is last year they kind of exceeded their expectations and competed. And this year they take such a step back where it's like, how can you go from really competing to a playoff spot late in the year to having the most losses in a season. So I think that was what was so disappointing for Minnesota, is really the step back they took after maybe exceeding that last year.
I think it's given Minnesota a little bit of an emotional roller coaster there. But one good thing for Minnesota was last week with the Ryder Cup, I know Sauce Man was presented at that tournament. Guys, we won 17-11. Tell us, Sauce Man, from your personal preference, what did you see on Sunday? What was that atmosphere like?
It wasn't a golf tournament.
It wasn't.
It was a huge event from top to bottom. When you show up, you get in the buses, they shuttle you over there, and it's like all hype, and then you get there, and the first tee box is rocking. They got speakers coming at you. They're playing the most hype songs in 2016. Everyone's dancing, everyone's chanting USA. It's really, for lack of a better term, lit. And
So you're telling me we didn't have the guys with the big signs that say quiet? Were they presented there?
No, they were not
Wow.
there. Just
Wow.
during like a tee shot, right when they're doing the tee, they'd be like, "All right, be quiet," and then like right as the tink, right when the ball goes, it just everyone explodes. The best thing about it though is it's USA versus Europe. Yes, we're all competitors, but it's golf. Everyone there is so friendly. Like you go talk to people from Europe, and you're like, "Hi, how you doing? Like, where are you from?" And it's just like the it's a gentleman's game, and that's what it really felt like, and that's what I
Hey,
really
watch
enjoyed
out
about
there,
it.
buddy. I'm a big golfer, and I am not a gentleman. Keep going over here, AJZ.
I think the funniest thing about this is that you got guys like Danny Willett, like the Britons, playing on the Team Europe, even though they like the whole Brexit thing. I didn't realize that was still going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I gotta
That's
think,
more for I was more joking about that, but it was an unreal atmosphere. I mean, just watching from home, it was amazing. I think the highlight, the MVP of the weekend has to be Patty Reed.
Yes.
Patrick Reed had an unbelievable weekend. He had that big eagle. I think it was on Saturday.
Yep.
But then his one-on-one matchup against Rory all Sunday, that was one for the ages.
Yep.
Rory sinks a 30-foot putt, kind of silences the crowd. Going at him like, I can't hear you. What, like, come on, let me hear you now. And then, Patty Reed comes out, a huge putt from the fringe to just have the hole. He just gives them a Mutombo finger wag, just, no. I mean, it like, just going back and forth like that. But the best thing about that was as soon as that happened, he gets his ball out of the cup, rocks over, knuckles, and then they walk arm around shoulders to the next hole, just buddy.
And I think that was
unbelievable
something fun
atmosphere.
to watch.
Yeah.
But not just the, what you talked about, the fans, but also Rory and Reed, they got so into those putts when they made those fist pumps. It was like Tiger Woods times 10. It was
Yeah.
so fun to watch. But, also I want to talk about, I know we touched on it last week, but let's talk a little bit about that big putt when the guy brought him out. I know, Thomas, you had the exact story. Tell us one more time a little bit about it because I love hearing about it.
Well, actually, I think Caleb told
it
it.
Caleb?
Yeah. What was it? You that told that story about the $100?
Yeah, it was probably
Sauce
me.
man.
So, all right, so what happened
Who knows?
was a guy from North Dakota was kind of chirping Rory, telling him, "Oh, you can't make that putt. You can't make that putt." All that stuff. And then before Rory
A fan.
was, yeah,
Tell Mr.
before
Rory. 'Kay.
Rory and it was like Rory and all
And,
the
like,
Europeans.
Stenson and-
yeah.
All right. Keep going.
And before he putted, he just stopped and said, "All right, like you think you can make it? $100 if you make it."
So you're telling me he pulls the guy.
He pulls the guy from the crowd, brings him out, puts a $100 bill right next to the ball. And then he goes, "All right, make it, whatever."
How long was this putt? Give us a little visual here.
It's probably like
Maybe like 10, 15.
10, 15
Like,
feet.
it wasn't
It wasn't close, but it wasn't really far.
Distance-wise, it wasn't that far, but it was like the slope of the putt because it was a
Yeah.
little bit uphill with the
Okay.
slope to the right. So it's a tough putt,
It's
and
a
that's
tough
why.
putt,
And we
okay.
saw Team USA actually was working on that putt earlier in the morning,
Oh.
and so Team Europe just kind of was
Yeah.
going through their practice rounds,
Yeah.
and they wanted to set it up and just see if anybody on the team gets in that type of situation. So they were just kind of going after it, and one after one, they just kept missing it, and that's when.
And the
North
guy
Dakota guy.
comes up and just drains it and goes nuts, does his Tiger Woods, fist pumps, everything. And they interviewed the guy after, and he goes, "I didn't realize what I was doing until I was over the ball." And he goes, and then I was like, "What am I doing?" He was like, I was like, "Oh no, this is not going to be good." And then he drains it, and he's like, "Okay, well,
I
I
think
guess
that
it was a
was-
good idea." But
it was.
that's the Ryder Cup. It's all fun and games. You'll never see that happen at the Masters.
No,
You'll
it's-
never see that happen at the Players Championship. That's just the joy of the Ryder Cup. It's a big event. It's a lot of fun, and that's why people love going to it.
And the coolest thing was it was held in Minnesota. I think one funny statement was they kept asking, "Is it really this cold here? Is it going to warm up? Is it, Minnesota's not a place that normally a big golf tournament would be at, but Hazelton Golf Course I know always does a great job."
And the thing is, it wasn't even that cold. It was
Right.
It was like maybe like it was like 72 all weekend
Yeah.
and sunny.
You look at the fans; they're probably wearing shorts. This is the hottest it's been for 3 weeks, and they're excited and
Yeah.
they're wondering. if
And
it's
it
gonna
wasn't
get
raining, which was
warmer.
awesome.
The PGA got really lucky on
They
the
did.
weekend.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
have to
for
say.
sure.
But guys, before we have to wrap this up soon, I want to talk really quick about my favorite thing to talk about during the show, college football. Okay. Unfortunately, a ton of games are being postponed due to that hurricane. But one game that, Tennessee, Texas A&M, but I know we want to talk about the big Clemson game last weekend. Sauceman, what do we see in that matchup?
It was it was a battle. It's really unfortunate it had to come down to I can't think of the wide receiver's name, but him just
Come
like
on.
barely giving an effort to get that first down. You need that first down.
No dedication. Like
No, yes.
why would you go out of bounds there?
Yeah.
This is like you said, like we were talking about this earlier too. It's not the second quarter. It's not like earlier in the game. This is a must-win situation. You have to get that first down to extend the drive and give your chance a team to win.
Yeah.
You can't just run out of bounds. Don't scamper. Take a hit, try to fight through it, and get the first down.
Or make a move. He didn't even make a move. He
Yeah.
just ran right at the dude. The dude's a Division I cornerback. He's going to make that play.
Guys are going to get mad at me, but we don't have much more time to talk about college football. I promise next time we will talk, 'cause I know Caleb's over there smiling. He loves to talk about college football.
Houston.
Yeah,
all
Houston
the
over
way.
there. My Michigan and Wolverines are still on top there. But thank you guys so much for joining me today for Sideline Reports. We will be back next Friday around 12:30 to talk a little bit more about what's happening around the world of sports. We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you for listening to Sidelines, your sound and sports alternative. That's 88.1 FM.